recall, we did do a continuing resolution for the HMG Master Service Agreement to get us to the end of this month. So I'm pleased to have the HMG Master Service Agreement finalized and negotiated and on the board agenda this month. A couple of items to note with the Master Service Agreement. We did achieve a 10% reduction in rate. That was in conjunction with some negotiations related to liability and some insurance provisions. But I think that was a success for the DA. Consistent with other master service agreements, we also have a quarterly review by the executive director that will be done to ensure that the financials are appropriate and consistent with local contracts as well. A couple of other master service agreements, one for Braun and one for Terracon. Those consultants have provided geotechnical services for the Diversion Authority for quite some time. Their MSAs did expire at the end of December of last year, and so these new contracts will take effect moving forward, and they are consistent with the changes that have been done in the recent MSA agreements. Paul, if you can move to the next slide, please. I have a couple of contracting actions for the board to consider. The mayor did mention that we pulled the Ernst & Young off of consent, and when we get to item 6B, that'll be for the board to consider. This is for RFP support, and Ernst & Young is the board's financial advisor. And so as we move through the procurement of the P3 developer, we're going to need to rely on our financial advisor to run numbers, review the RFP bids in relation to our financial plan, and provide recommendations for approval and execution of the P3 agreement. So the scope of services that is contained within Ernst & Young's contract before you today, and we will get to that under item 6C. Another contracting action that I have is that was on consent was executive management services. That is in relation to services for the Diversion Authority administration. A number of different items there. We're using executive management services as a board consultant, as well as an executive consultant. So they will help us in retaining and hiring folks for the Diversion Authority organizational chart and ensure that we're hiring the right people and incorporating them in with the proper teamwork mentality. And then finally, we have the bid award for property structure mitigation. This is another contract to remove homes in the upstream mitigation area. IBI was the low bidder of 2 bids received, and that will be under contracting action under 6C. Paul, if you have on the next sheet. Some additional items that the executive director has approved. We have 2 reduction task order amendments for Jacobs. The first one is the $2 million reduction, and that was the savings for bringing AE2S out from under Jacobs as a subconsultant and contracting directly with them. And that occurred at the last meeting, and I promised the board we would bring the reduction in the savings from that contracting action to the board and report that out this month. The second task order amendment is a $3 million reduction for task orders 4, 5, and 6. And what that was is I went back with Jacobs and we reviewed the unspent budget from 2019 related to those 3 task orders. And we were able to unencumber $3 million out of Jacobs' contract this month. The final additional task order item was with Crown Appraisals, and that is to start our flowage easement evaluations in the study that will accompany that. And that was a $25,000 increase to the Crown Appraisals Master Service Agreement. So with that, I'll take any questions if anybody has any.
If anybody can unmute.
They can unmute.
Any questions? Not, I'm going to just insert one other item here is Mary Scherling from Land Management did have some action this week or had some discussions that some people thought important. And I think, Mary, you can unmute and talk to us. Could you be kind enough to just tell us what went on?
Certainly. Sorry, that took me a second. We had a good meeting yesterday, and I think you're talking.
NDSU.
Oh, the NDSU, yes. We spent about a half an hour yesterday going over NDSU's Ag Impact Study. They probably gave us a modified, somewhat abbreviated overview of the project. They do have something that we can dive deeper into, but they're also, I believe, going to put out kind of a one-pager too that I think will be really helpful in the future. But at any rate, this is something that I know our ag producers have been anxiously waiting to get. A lot of unknowns out there, so we were really happy to get this report in our hands. So I assume, Joel, that they'll be presenting perhaps at our next meeting for the DA.
That's correct, Mary. We'll have NDSU come and do the presentation at the next board meeting. I think that'll be great.
But one of the hints is that we do find that many of the egg producers will be able to still seed and type when we have an part of what was good out of that, Mary?
Right. Yes. I mean, certainly there are going to be some producers that are going to be impacted by this, and some that won't be nearly as much. And it's really going to be an individualized look at each particular situation. So, but this is a great springboard so that we were able to do that. NDSU did an outstanding job, so we really appreciate them working on this and presenting it to us. So I think you'll all find that interesting as we move forward.
And we'll have that at our next board meeting. Thank you. Finance, Tony Grinberg has come out and unmute his computer. So Joel, I believe, is going to give the report. We have two items there.
Yes. Tony, if you can unmute, you can take over. If not,
he texted me and told me to.
Okay. All right. Not a problem. So the finance meeting went well yesterday. We had an update, which I don't have in front of me, but I'll just kind of give total expenditures on the project to date is registered at $533 million. We have approximately $93 million in cash reserves as well at the moment. We had two contracting items that we discussed. The first was the Ernst & Young Infrastructure Advisors. And as I mentioned in my report, that is a contract for financial advisory services in relation to the P3 procurement. So that will require a roll call vote. And I think at this point, maybe we ask if there's any nay votes to make themselves known, so we can take up that action at this point, Mr. Chair.
So you want to take action to report the?
We need an approval of the Ernst & Young contract.
So I'm going to group them both together. As the work contract is Work 5 Amendment 1, the RFP Financial Support Services Ernst & Young Infrastructure Advisors for $2.7 million. The second work package is item 50B. Property Structure Mitigation Industrial Builders, $259,000 to $918. Can I have a motion for that?
So moved. Grant is on.
Thank you, Grant. Do I have a second?
Jonathan
Chad will
Judd,
second.
second.
So all those not in favor say nay. All those not in favor say nay. I hear no nays, so I'd assume all of you would want to go forward with those. I will take that as a unanimous vote. Joel, do you have any other business we have to do today?
No, that is all, Mr. Chair. I just want to make everyone aware that we did pare down the agenda pretty significantly to only focus on typical items to keep the lights on and keep things moving forward. And so we did remove quite a bit of content from this month's meeting because it is the first virtual meeting that we're attempting. And so we wanted to, we hope that by next month we'll be able to do an in-person meeting again. If not, I think we've learned a lot through the committee meeting as far as administrating the virtual meetings. And so hopefully we will be able to take up some of those presentation items and informational items for the board at the next meeting.
And we'll have IT fixes so you people can get, because Tony Grenberg says he can't, we're not getting it when he unmutes, so he can't talk. So we'll have IT fixes that if we have to do another one of these, we can get it fixed. No other business. I assume we're going to adjourn.
This is
Anybody
Brielle.
who
You did
doesn't
not,
want to adjourn?
sorry. This
Go ahead,
is
Mary.
Brielle. You did not approve the consent agenda?
Oh, I think we did, Brielle.
You
That was
approved
the
the
same
order,
thing. We asked anybody to say nay.
you approved the order of the agenda. I don't have any person or a second for making the motion of actually approving the
Do I
consent
have a
agenda.
motion for the consent agenda?
Move to approve.
Got Mary Scherling?
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
Second, Grant.
Grant, thank you. Sam, the action would go there. All those who are not in favor of the consent agenda, please vote no. Anybody not in favor of the consent agenda, please vote no. I hear no nays. I would take that as unanimous passage of the consent agenda. Now we're to the end.
Mhm.
Having no more business, I would say we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.